Mr. K.C. Mitchell, Secretary of the AICC's Legal, Human Rights and RTI Department, his colleagues who have taken the initiative to organize this conclave, fellow lawyers, fellow members of Parliament, other distinguished speakers like Mr. Azad. Good afternoon to all of you. Several eminent lawyers and several members of Parliament will address this conclave. And the time allotted to each one is limited because we have to get all the views on board. I intend to follow that time limit and set an example like my friend Vivek Tanka did, just flagging a few points, and I'm sure other speakers will flag more points. Firstly, I have compared in the Parliamentary Committee, I have compared the old law and the new law section by section. I have made this point before, and nobody in government has been able to repudiate the point. 90 to 95% of the Indian Penal Code has been copied and pasted. 95% of the Criminal Procedure Code has been copied and pasted. 98 to 99% of the Indian Evidence Act has been copied and pasted. The media is here. On behalf of the legal cell, I'm throwing an open challenge to anybody in government who can come and prove that my statement is wrong. If you are copying and pasting between 90 to 99% of the three laws, why copy and paste? Why change the numbers? Why change the title in a language which is indeed one of the official languages, which is indeed one of the national languages, but completely alien to a large part of India? And eventually, criminal laws have to be administered by magistrates' courts. The laws will be translated into Tamil and Telugu and Kannada and Bengali and Odia. Nobody is going to use this name. They will all translate it into the local language, and at the magistrates' court and the sub-court and the district court, it's only the translated text of the act will be used. Be that as it may, I say that this entire exercise was wasteful. The entire exercise, Vivek asked, for what purpose? The only purpose I can see is to confuse everybody. To confuse lawyers, to confuse the police, to confuse the judges. Everybody is thrown into utter confusion. Everybody has to relearn the law. Everybody has to relearn the sections. That is point one. The second point is, some provisions are totally retrograde. Look at the old section on sedition, 124 capital A, and look at the new section. Under the Supreme Court's orders, all sedition cases are kept in abeyance. They cannot be tried today. Yet the new section makes it worse. The new section, please compare it word by word, it makes it worse. So what the Supreme Court of India said, that the sedition provision is antiquated, retrograde, and we therefore stay all proceedings, all trials under sedition has been replaced by a new section which is making it worse. Death penalty is being retained. There are only a few countries which retain the death penalty. most democratic and civilized countries have abolished death penalty. In India itself, in the last 7 or 8 years, only 6 sentences of death have been confirmed by the Supreme Court. Only 6. Why have the death penalty? You have introduced a new penalty, imprisonment for the remainder of a person's life. That, according to me, is as good as death penalty, without snuffing out life. In fact, it is worse than death penalty, because death penalty puts an end to his agony. But imprisonment for the remainder of one's life means he will regret it for the rest of his life. Having introduced that section, having introduced that provision, why retain death penalty? The subsidiary point is, you have introduced another retrograde punishment, solitary confinement. No civilized country has solitary confinement. Solitary confinement dehumanizes the criminal, the convict. It creates tremendous mental disturbances, and most people sent to solitary confinement lose their sanity. Why are you heaping upon a convict a punishment like he will lose his sanity by sending him to solitary confinement? So I think there are retrograde provisions. I won't detail all of them. I'm sure other speakers will detail the retrograde provisions. The third point, and the most important point I want to make, is the bail provisions. I have analyzed it. I've heard Justice Mukta Gupta analyze it. I've heard Mr. Kapil Sibal analyze it. I've heard Justice Madan Lokur analyze it. We conducted an interview for Kapil's YouTube channel. My view is, I'm willing to be corrected by other eminent lawyers practicing in the criminal side. Today, my conclusion is, nobody can get bail for 60 days to 90 days, whatever the offense is. If it's a cognizable offense, if the police want custody, nobody can get bail for 60 to 90 days. Why do I say so? Earlier, 15 days police custody was available to the police in one stretch. In the first 15 days, you cannot ask for custody in bits and pieces once you get bail. Today, the 15 days can be over in bits and pieces. They will ask for bail, ask for police custody for 3 days, and then the prosecutor will tell the judge, I'm going to come back and ask for police custody. What will the magistrate do? He cannot give him bail, because once he gives him bail, you can't give him police custody. Please look at the peculiar situation. The police ask for custody for 3 days and tell the magistrate, I will come back and ask for more custody. So what is the choice before the magistrate? Can he grant him bail? Because he cannot grant him bail. Once you grant bail, you can't give him police custody again. So he will have to necessarily send you to judicial custody. And after judicial custody of 1 week, the police custody for another 3 days, another judicial custody for 15 days, another police custody for 3 days. As long as the police keep 1 or 2 days at the end, the 58th day or the 59th day, and ask it in bits and pieces, the magistrate has no choice but to grant him the custody, send him to judicial custody, send him back to police custody, send him to judicial custody, and then give the 58th and 59th day for police custody and grant him bail on the 60th day. This is a completely retrograde provision. Justice Krishna has said many years ago, bail is the rule, jail is the exception. Chief Justice of India Chandrachud said day before yesterday that trial magistrates are not giving bail, which is why each bench of the Supreme Court is saddled with 5 bail applications every day. 5 into 16, 80 bail applications every day in the Supreme Court. Why are magistrates not giving bail? And you've made it worse now by this provision. This is a completely retrograde provision. I'm absolutely certain it will be struck down as unconstitutional. But we must move towards that. What we are doing is mobilizing legal opinion, lawyers' opinion, bar associations' opinion. We are mobilizing political opinion. Every political party in the India bloc will be represented and they will speak for 10 minutes each. The idea is eventually we will have to gather and resolve to challenge specific provisions of these 3 acts in the Supreme Court. Challenges have been mounted in individual high courts to individual sections, but eventually all of them have to be consolidated and these laws have to be challenged. Simultaneously, we must mobilize public opinion against these laws. When these laws are implemented, all hell will break loose. You take it from me, when these laws are implemented, as Vivek said, all hell will break loose. Nobody knows the law, the police don't know the law, the lawyers have to relearn the law, and the judges have to relearn the law, and there will be utter chaos in this country. I condemn these 3 laws. I condemn the manner in which these 3 laws were passed in Parliament when there was no opposition at all. You suspended over 145 members and passed the laws with a one-sided debate. Our dissent note in the committee was not even considered or replied to by the Honorable Home Minister. We have written these detailed dissent notes. Every one of us, including me, have written a detailed dissent notes to each group. No dissent was answered. This is a retrograde attempt to change the laws of this country, and I condemn it, and I ask you to express your views freely, not only in this forum, but in every forum that is available to you. Speak, write, talk to fellow lawyers, talk in bar associations, advocates associations. Let's mobilize legal opinion. Let's mobilize political opinion. Thank you.